What's up, guys? If you've been following the channel for a couple of years, then you know that summertime I work outside a lot, and summertime I usually don't make very many videos just because I'm wiped out. But I do try to make up for it, and if I actually have any Patreons left, thank you for your patience. And if you are new, I've been kind of doing current affairs videos lately, but alternative history is a big part of my channel. You can go to the playlist and get the kind of gist of my catastrophism history idea. But I've said for a long time that these upper echelon people, they don't get the same education that we do. And I watched this little video, and it was of a rich kid that heir to the Johnson and Johnson fortune, and he was feeling guilty about it, so he made a video about him and his rich friends. And he's a nice enough kid, but like one of his friends is that guy that said, "Oh yeah, this kid from nowhere, Kentucky, I'll just buy him and his whole family." Literally said that cliche line. Just that kind of repulsive. And then you got this kid that they just listed as European royalty. And it was kind of interesting that this is what got shown of his book collection. But he says that this is the 11th edition Britannica in 33 volumes, of course. And this is the last edition that was written before 1911, before they completely changed it, rewritten for the masses, and is now, shat. They didn't print that word out. But I don't know how much it differs from what we've got. If anybody's got a pre-1911 Encyclopedia Britannica, it's probably got some stuff in there that we don't know. But they get a completely different education than us. And I'm sure that when our history gets fuzzy with the Middle and Dark Ages, I think we've got a complete cover story for that. And that, 700 years ago, around that time frame, there was a pretty big catastrophe that wiped out a lot of people. What does that have to do with the Djinn? Absolutely nothing. When you think about it, there's all the weird rituals. We see this broadcast on TV with all their weird rituals, and we hear the rumors of what goes on behind the scenes. And it leads one to wonder if they are messing around with demonic beings, or however you want to refer to them. For this video, we can call them the Djinn, because that's what it is in the Muslim world. And it's kind of cool hearing the Muslim side of it, because I'm sure everybody's heard the Christian side of Satan and the Garden of Eden and all of this. Well, the Muslims have a completely different story of things, but still kind of the same characters, definitely the Old Testament characters. But here you can see a sketch that a lot of us have seen, I'm sure, that we would say is Lucifer, the fallen angel, but to them it's Iblis. And I'll get into the story of Iblis here in a minute. So according to the Muslims, the earth was completely populated with the race of Jinn before mankind. And Adam is in their story too. But they say that the Jinn had, tribes and nations, and they got married. They ate food, all of these things that are so similar to us, but they weren't made of the same thing as us. Adam is made of clay. The Jinn were made of fire, and they're actually specific about that, and it's a smokeless fire, which does make me think a little bit about electricity, smokeless fire. But I don't know if they'd associate that with lightning and the word for lightning, but the Jinn were made of a smokeless fire, and just remember that for in a little bit. They populated the earth, and they became corrupt. They started waging war on each other. And there was one among them that became a Muslim. He worshiped Allah. And this is Iblis. So Iblis, they say, worshipped Allah in every space on earth, and every space in the second heaven, what we call space up in the sky. Basically everywhere in our universe, our realm of existence. And he gained Allah's favor and was allowed into the second heaven. did the same thing all the way up to the seventh heaven. And he, quote, worked with the angels. Now, the angels are made of light. They're very clear that the jinn are smokeless fire, angels of light. Angels don't have any free will. So, what we have in Christianity as Lucifer and the war in heaven couldn't have happened in the Muslim view of things, because the angels don't have free will. The jinn had free will, mankind has free will, but the angels serve God without question. So all of the jinn were corrupt. They were murdering each other, cheating each other, and this bothered the angels, and it bothered Allah. And finally, Iblis says, "Well, let me take an army of angels down, and we'll wipe out all of the jinn." So Allah allowed him to do that. He came down with all the angels, big war. And one of the interesting, I learned all this from kind of word of mouth sermons on the jinn and creation, and vary a little bit in the telling. But one version, they all get wiped out, and in another they say that they chase them out to the islands in the sea, which I found interesting. So after wiping clean the earth, then Iblis is in heaven, proud of himself. And then chatter kind of starts up among the angels, saying that Allah is going to make a new creation, and he'll give dominion of the earth to this new creation. Well, of course, Iblis, gets mad. He gets jealous about this. And, he goes to Adam's body, and it's just still formed of clay, hasn't had life breathed into it yet. And he's just sitting there and just working himself up into a rage about it. And he's going inside of Adam and looking around and saying, "This is just a hollow creature. This is nothing. I am better than this. I'm made of a smokeless fire." And he's just consumed with the jealousy and the anger. And before Allah blows the breath of life into Adam, the angels come to him asking, "Why are you doing this? Why are you making this new creation that's gonna probably murder and kill and do all those bad things again?" And Allah just replies, "I know that which you do not." So then Allah blows the breath of life into Adam, and Adam gets up and he tells all the angels, bow down to Adam, prostrate before this new creation. And, all the angels instantly, they all drop down and prostrate before Adam. And then there's just Iblis standing there. Allah asks Iblis, "Why don't you bow when I command you to?" He's just, "You got to be kidding me. After everything I've done for you, you're going to make this inferior creature of clay, a hollow body of clay, and you're going to give him dominion over the earth." And Allah says, "Well, yes. And since you're so consumed with your jealousy and rage and disobeying my commands, you are now the shaitan, the cursed one." And I'm sure everybody notices the similarity with Satan in the Christian version of things. So then Iblis, the cursed one, the shaitan, says, "Okay, well, this mankind is weak and nothing compared to me. I'm made of a smokeless fire, and I'll corrupt them and mislead them." So Iblis and Satan, same historical figure, if you want to put it that way. Could you imagine being Adam during all this? You just got life blown into you, and then all this drama's going down, and all the angels are bowing down before you. That'd be kind of an intense day on the first day on the job, yeah? I mean, what do you say to that? Look, guys, opposable thumbs. So basically, everything that in Christianity would be fallen angels, you can transfer over to being this creation that came before mankind, that populated the whole entire earth. They were made of a different substance than us, could literally go through physical materials, could go to anywhere in what we call space up above. And they say that they could live for thousands of years. So Iblis, the shaitan, evidently all the jinn weren't wiped out, because he kind of forms an army of jinn that are all delegated to be in charge of certain sins and sicknesses, like Mammon uh, being the jinn of greed. And you have all of the same players in Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, as far as the Archangel Michael and Gabriel and Raphael, El being a word of the Elohim. Conversely, on the evil side, you have Beelzebub and Baal. So these all obviously came from the same source. And I've met quite a few Christians that don't know that Christianity and Islam all have the same basis and same historical figures. Then you also have the first creation, the Djinn, and the book of Genesis, where it says, let them repopulate the earth. But so are there intelligent entities that have been around? What if mankind is only, 4,000 or 5,000 years old? What is it on the Jewish calendar right now? I think 5,000 years old or something. What if mankind actually is only 5,000 years old and some of the entities that were the first creation are still alive and people work with them? And well, they multiply too. And they had sex, they multiply, they did basically everything that humans did. Everybody's heard of Moloch and, the child sacrifice back in the day. And they've taken that and multiplied it by thousands with what they've done in this country. Just saying. As far as doing everything humans do, did they build structures? Did they build houses? Did they build the pyramids? Are the pyramids older than mankind itself? Are some of the structures here older than mankind? Because the pyramids being tombs, then why do you need the Valley of the Kings where all the kings are buried down there? I guess it's a possibility that these could have been built by a being that had completely different priorities than us and different lifestyle. And now I did say that they can pass through solid objects, evidently, because Iblis went inside of Adam, but also King Solomon used the jinn to build his temple. So they were obviously able to interact with our physical reality. You look at some of the old structures and, you do think, what is the purpose of this? Now, I got to say, with like Sacsayhuaman here, big, huge stones, very difficult for us to do. But that does look like a defensive formation, that zigzag up there. The Great Wall of China is built a lot of the same way, to where you can fall back around a corner if an enemy's approaching. But hey, the Djinn had warfare as well. I don't know. It's probably a more solid theory than Tataria, which just means anyone from anywhere at any time in history that built anything. Anyway, Solomon is a whole video in itself. He used the jinn to create the temple. He could talk to, I know, birds. I can't remember if all animals. He had a flying carpet that he could fit like 60,000 people on. And he had a magic ring that would ensnare the jinn, and then he would force them to build his temple. And there's a couple of different ideas of what the design on the ring was, but the most common to everybody is the Star of David, which is, of course, the Israeli flag. And it's kind of interesting that that's based on a sigil that captures demons. And I don't know which one is the right shape, but, it's the same in witchcraft, where they use the pentagram for protection to keep the demon in the circle. Well, I guess you better know which the 5-pointed, 6-pointed, 7-pointed star that is the right one. But there was a whole nother creation before mankind, according to Islam. And who knows, they could have built some of the oldest structures out there, and mankind just copied that. I don't know. Interesting theory. Static out.